Hi, y'all. You know what time it is. Hold on, one more time. There we go. Woo! Get into it. I apologize for yesterday. I got a little caught up after working out with this new book that I'm reading. Um, I'll post it later on, but it's a book I can't read for story time. It's more for like older teenagers, like 16 and above. Young kids, we gonna stick with what we got, okay? It's a good book though. Mm. Oh, hello everybody. It is a beautiful Tuesday here in Yellow Springs. Okay, make sure my vital bracelet is on. Oh, Ray Dramon is still asleep. Alrighty, y'all. And no, I don't own the music that is being played in the background, which is... Oh, my bad. Okay, hold on, because I gotta make sure that my notifications is off so we don't get interrupted. Alright, y'all. Without further ado, we are going to begin. I'm making sure I'm not skipping any chapters. Like I said, you do not have to watch these videos when they go live. You're more than welcome to watch them in your leisurely time here on Facebook or any of our readings that we have on Instagram. And as always, my glasses are filthy, so I apologize for that. Yes. TPR, they are awesome. They make these like melancholy tribute covers to like different video games and anime and movies and stuff. Definitely check them out. Also check out Mr. Ambiance and Ambient Worlds. That is a really good, those are really good channels to look into if you want some nice music to listen to while you read. Also, if you can recognize the music, shout out, because you are a real Final Fantasy fan if you can recognize the melody that is being covered. Alright. Kiki finds herself in a tough spot. Kiki opened the door to her shop and instinctively shaded her eyes with her hand. It's so bright! When she first arrived in town, the sun had beamed down with a mild, playful glow. It wasn't all that different from the sunlight in her small town back home with its many forests, but now it pounded down ruthlessly as if taking aim and hurling itself. Summer by the sea is something else, Kiki murmured. It's hard to breathe. So she undid one of the buttons at her collar to cool off, then stood up on her toes. Oh my gosh, it's not as if I'll be able to see the sea on tiptoe. I must be thinking of Mom's letter. Back home, she would stand on tiptoe in her front garden where she could see as far as the eastern peak of Mount Green. The note she received from Kokiri 2 days ago reminded her of the mountain in the little town she'd left. Yesterday I was out, so I stopped by Mount Green on my way home. I remember how when I would send you on an errand, you would stop off there and take forever to come back. The grass was almost up to my knees. I sat there for a while looking up at the sky. And then what do you suppose happened? I fell asleep. The grass smelled so sweet, and the breeze was so blowing gently. I'm not sure how long I slept, but when I woke up I rushed home. When your dad saw my face, he laughed. He said I looked just like you with marks from the grass on my cheeks. I ended up laughing too. Kiki remembered playing on the fields of Mount Green under the blazing sun and walking the roads of her town. She missed it so much that her heart ached. Okay, she said, shaking off the sad feelings. Let's get the day started. Switching gears, Kiki decided to polish her broom with a soft cloth. Caring for her equipment was something she had done every morning since opening her delivery service. Oh, what a busy bee you are. Ain't it today, too? Osono came out of the bakery next door carrying her baby and spoke to Kiki through the open window. No matter how much effort you put in, I don't think you'll get much work today. The town is empty. Well, there does seem to be one determined boy cleaning the alley, but otherwise there's almost no one around. Kiki looked up and peered out at the street. Sure enough, all she could see was the high contrast of dazzling sunlight and black shadow. Today is Sunday, Osono exclaimed. Plus, it's the middle of the summer. Everyone's gone to the beach. The beach? Why? To go swimming, of course! Why don't you take the day off and go too? But it's so hot. Oh, sheesh, that's the whole reason to go, isn't it? It'll feel good. It's rough living here in the summer if you don't go to the beach. But I've never been swimming before. Even more reason to go. If you need a swimsuit, I'll lend you one. I happen to have a black one from when I was younger. Witches have to wear black, right? But you're not going to come, Osono? With the little one, I can't. I'll just have to suffer through the heat this year. You're lucky you can easily fly over. I'll go with you, though. I can watch the baby. Kiki reached through the open window and softly pressed the cheek of the child sleeping comfortably in Osono's arms. I'm fine. You haven't had any chance to relax since you got here. You've been getting more work little by little, so go take it easy for a change. You can simply lie on the sand. Wait just a minute and I'll grab the suit for you. If you wear it under your dress, it'll be easier to change when you get there. Osono bustled back into her house. The beach, huh? Kiki murmured before turning to Gigi. Should we go check it out? Gigi was lying like a pat of melted butter, sprawled on the steps in a shady spot where the breeze was better. He answered in a nasally, irked voice. You're telling someone wearing a fur coat in this heat to move? How cruel. Well, we'll be flying into the sea breeze. I think it'll feel much better than sitting at home. Plus, I need to take the broom out for a fun flight now and then. Now and then, Gigi sniffed and sluggishly rose to his feet, flicking his tail. Kiki bobbed her head with a smile and set about closing the shop windows. When Osono brought the swimsuit, Kiki stretched it out first and slipped it on. The fabric snapped back and clung to her skin like a rubber band. Is this how it's supposed to fit? Kiki asked Osono, shrinking in embarrassment. Yes, you look great! I'm jealous of how well that suit fits you. It's like my body is squished. It feels weird. You're fine just as you are. Plus, once you get there, everyone will be wearing the same sort of thing. All right, get going. Kiki put her dress on over the swimsuit, and with her broom and radio in hand, she went outside with Gigi. She hung a sign on the door that said, closed today. Kiki and Gigi sped across the blue sky. The radio was playing a cheery song, and Kiki swayed to the music. This feels great! She skillfully caught the wind and flew side to side in big, weaving curves. Flying really is fantastic. It's no wonder Osono wanted to learn how. Kiki squinted down at Koriko. The town spread like two butterfly wings from either side of the big river. It seemed to be moving to the music, too. Gigi tapped her back. Hey, Kiki, there's some kind of announcement on the radio. At some point, a weather forecast had interrupted the music. We repeat this important warning. The gusts known as mischievous marine winds may blow today off the coast of Koriko. True to their name, during this time of year, these winds come whipping through without warning. Everyone who is out swimming, please be careful. See, it's saying the weather's gonna get bad, said Gigi. What? But it's so nice out! Kiki wasn't worried at all. Look, we can see the beach. There are plenty of people playing. The forecast must be a mistake. You always expect the worst when we're trying to have fun. It's a bad habit. Being too giddy isn't a good habit either, Gigi bristled and turned away. A moment later, Kiki angled the broomstick to descend. She landed softly on an isolated patch of sand. Kiki had never heard of a witch going to the beach, so she thought it would be better to avoid sticking out. Kiki sent a sidelong glance at the more crowded area. Everyone was absorbed in their fun. Some people were having sandball fights, while others were buried in sand up to their necks. Some were sunning their backs, some chased waves at the water's edge, and some swam in the ocean with big strokes. There were so many different things to do at the beach. Wherever she looked, she found smiles and laughter. The wind picked up and nosily whipped at the fabric of the beach umbrellas. The waves grew a little taller, too, and the shouts of the surfers grew more and more excited. Carrying the dress and shoes she had taken off, Kiki nervously hunched, hiding her body. It was her first time barefoot in sand, and though it wasn't even noon yet, the sand was so hot it was impossible to move slowly. She hopped along shrieking, and Gigi hopped too, sensibly trying to stay in Kiki's shadow. As they went, he grumbled. We look ridiculous, like two beans in a frying pan. I wish we could show Kokiri. When they finally made it to the crowded section of the beach, Kiki imitated the others by digging a hole and lying down in it on her stomach. Here, the sand was as warm and comfortable as a bath, and it felt wonderful. All sorts of people's legs passed by. Kiki was relieved that everyone was too busy with their own fun to pay attention to anyone else. She propped her head up to her elbows and looked out at the sea. It was like a great swelling creature, in constant motion. My apologies, I talk really fast, I'm sorry. People jumped in one after another, as if clinging to its back. Kiki realized her mother hadn't told her anything about the sea. Perhaps it was only natural, since Kokiri had never seen it. Maybe I'll go in too, she said to herself. Kiki, witches might melt or something if they go in water. Don't do it. Gigi eyed her anxiously. Look how much fun everyone else is having. I don't think there's any reason it would be bad just for witches. I want to try dipping my feet in at least. As Kiki sat up on the sand, she spied a mass of black clouds on the horizon that hadn't been there before. Looking around, she watched little whirlwinds of sand spin by. Oh my, the weather forecast was right after all. But the sun was still shining brightly overhead, so she gazed enviously back at the people playing in the water. A voice called out nearby. Hey! When Kiki turned, she saw a woman lying nearby on her stomach, smiling at her. The woman slowly sat up and pointed to the broom. Did you bring that all the way here to play at the beach? You planning on using it instead of floaties? Kiki found the idea so silly she couldn't hold back her laughter. The woman shrugged and laughed herself, then said, I heard a witch came to town. I guess people are already copying her style. How cute. I'm so busy taking care of my son, I have no idea what the latest trends are. I saw a young man with one earlier, too. Kiki hurriedly hid behind her broom. Look there! He's over there! The woman pointed behind her. Kiki looked past the people playing in the sand and saw a boy carrying a bag and a broom watching them. Oh, he's probably cleaning up the beach. Is that right? Are you a cleaner too? I thought for sure. As she spoke, she craned her neck and looked around. Then she suddenly shouted, Hey! Hey, buddy, you can't go so far away! Stay where I can see you! Then that's good, right there. You can splash in the water. Look, here comes a big wave! When the woman waved, a little boy sitting on an orange inflatable raft kicked his feet. The woman turned back to Kiki and heaved a sigh. Kids are cute, but such a handful. Being a mom is rough. Then the woman looked away again and shrilly raised her voice. Hey, don't go out too deep. That's right. Sit right there. Good boy. She turned back to Kiki with a smile. I'd at least like to get some relaxation time when we come to the beach. Oh, do you think your little kitty would play with my son? Looks so sweet. Then my boy wouldn't wander off. The woman reached out to pet Gigi, trying to get on his good side. Go play with him, Gigi. Kiki poked him in the tummy. Gigi rose lazily and groaned from the pit of his stomach. She called me a full-grown cat. A little kitty. Ugh. He grumbled to himself as he walked towards the water's edge, twitching his tail back and forth. What a smart kitty! The woman watched with a smile until Gigi reached her son on the inflatable raft. Satisfied, she then lay back down on her stomach, humming. Kiki decided to lie down too. When she closed her eyes, she could hear the jumble of sounds around her more clearly. The sea's salty smell, a mix of fishiness and seaweed, was pretty nice too. Without warning, she heard a roar, and a completely different sort of wind blew past. It was so intense it seemed as though it fell from the sky. Yelps and screams of surprise rose along the beach. After blinking the sand out of her eyes, Kiki saw straw hats crisscrossing through the air and inflatable rings rolling around like wheels. She stood up with a start. The peaceful beach had completely transformed. Some people grabbed their kids under their arms and ran for the pine grove at the edge of the beach. Others were chasing belongings that blew in the wind. Oh no! The woman next to her screamed at the top of her lungs, frantically sprinting toward the water. Kiki's eyes followed the woman as she saw that the orange raft carrying the boy and Gigi was caught between two huge waves. The woman leaped into the water, but the raft, along with the boy and Gigi, was pulled into a strong whirlpool and dragged out to sea. All Kiki could hear were piercing sobs. She ran toward the water and shouted to Gigi, Hold on tight! I'm coming to save you! And she turned to the woman, who stood helplessly in the water. Don't worry, I can fly. I'll save your boy. Someone nearby said, That's right! You're the fly girl from Kiki's delivery service, aren't you? Please hurry! The woman urged. Hurry, please! Kiki ran back to the sand to get her broom, but the moment she picked it up, she went pale. This wasn't her broom. It was a cheap one, a copy that looked nearly identical to her mother's. How could this happen? Especially at a time like this. Did someone swap my broom in the midst of this storm? Or was it while I was relaxing with my eyes closed? Kiki's heart pounded. What should I do? What do I do? In any case, she didn't have much time to think. Kiki mounted the unfamiliar broom in a hurry and took off. The moment she was up, the broom took a nosedive as she dipped into the water. Oh no! Everyone watched, gasped. Kiki pulled the handle up in a panic, but then the back bristles flew into the ocean with a swoosh. The broom grew heavier as it soaked up water and drifted back toward the beach. Kiki tried everything she could to change direction, but the broom, unruly as a wild horse, kept pulling her backward and tried to throw her off. Meanwhile, the boy and Gigi drifted farther and farther away with each passing moment. Yes, Kiki is trying to save the day. Kiki desperately flew on. After being dunked and bucked all the way, she finally caught up to the raft. Then she stretched herself on the broomstick and extended her hand. The boy was crying too hard to take it, so she finally managed to grab a hold of his trunks and lift him. And she snatched Gigi by the tail. Right after she pulled them to safety, a huge wave crashed over the orange raft, sending it spinning and washing away. All the bystanders on the beach jumped up and cheered. When Kiki somehow made it back to shore, she handed the exhausted boy to his mother. Holding an equally exhausted Gigi, Kiki hurriedly pulled her dress on over her wet swimsuit. She grabbed her radio, hopped on the unsteady broom, and took off again. Why don't you rest for a bit? Someone called to her. This wind is bad. Kiki couldn't possibly do that. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. I mean, somebody's talking about me. She needed to find her broom, and she had an idea of where to look. Earlier, she caught a glimpse of that boy who had a broom. He must have wanted a real one from a witch and swapped them. Kiki was furious. It's unforgivable. She was Luckily, she'd saved Gigi and the boy on the beach, but when she thought of what would have happened had she failed, she couldn't stop shaking. I'm gonna catch him and make him apologize 1,000,000 times over. Kiki kept a careful watch on the ground, and she continued herking and jerking across the sky on the Bronco broom. If someone wanted a witch's broom so badly, they stole it. Where's the first place they would go? Kiki thought it would be somewhere high like a cliff, because of course they would want to try flying. She flew from hill to hill between the beach and the town of Corico. Excuse me. Kiki, over there! Gigi pointed up ahead. Just as she thought, someone wearing a black dress was standing on the top of a little hill about to test their flying skills. Kiki, we have to stop them! Shh, quiet! Kiki stopped her broom in midair. They'll get hurt, Gigi warned again. If they want to fly, let's let them fly. If things turn out bad for them, they'll learn their lesson. Taking someone's belongings without asking is a horrible thing to do. Kiki replied coldly, holding the bucking broom steadily. They're really gonna do it, Gigi cried. The person on the hill took a flying leap. They landed flat on their bottom and rolled like a pebble down the slope. Kiki flew down after them. The broom thief was shaking their body out and rubbing their backside when she landed and teased irritably. Too bad it didn't work out. The face that looked up at her in surprise was sure enough the boy she had seen on the beach. He looked about Kiki's age. His glasses were cracked and he was peppered with bleeding scrapes. Kiki giggled. He was even wearing a black dress identical to hers over his clothes. You sure put in a lot of effort in, she said. Right down to my witch dress. The boy stood up with a frown, tore the dress off, blushed furiously, and hung his head. You caused a lot of trouble for me, Kiki thumped the handle of the broom onto the ground, exaggerating her anger. In truth, seeing him imitate everything about her cracked her up more than it made her mad. I'd like you to say you're sorry, at least 1,000,000 times. The boy said nothing as he backed away, bobbing his head apologetically. What's your excuse? Surely you were born yesterday, Mr. Thief. No, of course not. It was for research, the boy protested. What do you mean, research? Kiki raised her head and voice harshly. Don't yell like that, I tell you. My friends and I have an aviation club in town. We're trying to come up with new ways to fly. Right now we're split into 3 groups in a research competition. One group is focusing on flying shoes, one is working on flying carpets, and the last one is doing witches' brooms. Sir, you're in this broom group? Kiki looked him directly in his eyes and he blushed and nodded. That's why I was near your shop today. I heard you talking with the baker and I rushed over to the beach to find you. You wanted to fly with my broom, huh? Well, it would never work. Even with the broom, you would never be able to fly. I can because I'm a witch. In other words, the blood running through here is different. Kiki thumped her chest once. your blood makes you fly. The boy's eyes widened as he looked at her. Ew, that's a weird way to say it. She burst out laughing without meaning to, then composed herself and murmured with a straight face, But I do wonder how it works. I don't know myself. She gazed up at the sky and cracked another smile. But the broom makes a difference. If you're going to do research, at least use a broom that's easy to fly with. What is this thing? It's no good. I made it. I tried to make it look like yours, but it's awful. It hurts and jerks so much that my bottom hurts. If it were a horse, I would have tried to rein it in. And I embarrassed myself in front of all those people, too. Now give me my broom back. Oh, no! Kiki wailed when she finally saw her broom. Her mother's hand-me-down lay on the ground, snapped in two. What do I do? She picked up the pieces and cradled them. Sorry. The boy plunged his head down in apology. This was my mom's broom. She gave it to me when I left home. It was so easy to fly on. Kiki said, her voice full of tears. Sorry, the boy said again in a tiny voice. Then he stood there with his shoulders slumped, hanging his head. Oh, well, Kiki finally said hoarsely. She might not have liked it, but there was nothing she could do about it. So she pushed the tears that threatened to overflow back down into her heart. I'll make my own broom. I've made one before, so I think it'll work out. I doubt it'll go as smoothly as this one right after from the start, but I'll master it eventually. I've studied a lot about how to fly smoothly, so there might be a way I can help you, the boy offered timidly. I appreciate the thought, but this is a job for a witch, said Kiki proudly, puffing out her chest. Being able to fly isn't always easy, huh? Yeah, although not being able to fly must be hard, too, Kiki said, finally smiling at him. And that, my children, is the power of optimism. Taking a situation that may not have been favorable at first and flipping it on its head to where it is positive. Yes, bad things in life are going to happen, but we do not have to mire ourselves in misery and sorrow and melancholy. We can get past that. There are things that just happen that are outside of our control. It just happens. And rather than be upset and a pessimist, which a pessimist is someone who always looks on everything as being bad. Anything bad that can happen will happen. These are people that just can never really be thrilled in life because they always look at life from a negative perspective. Whereas an optimist is someone that looks at a situation from a positive point of view, is always looking for the brighter sides of a situation, regardless of what may happen. I consider myself both an optimist and a realist. A realist is someone who is able to see a situation for what it is. So, for example, a realist is someone, let's say your car breaks down. And they're like, well, the car may be broken. A realist is like, well, it's going to be a while for us to get home because the car is broken down, but at least we can walk. Or at least we can call an Uber or a Lyft, or at least we can call a friend to come pick us up. Because we can't do anything with the car because the car is broken down. That's being a realist. But then being an optimist at the same time, you're like, yeah, the car may be broken down and we might not have the money to repair it, but we're still alive. And we can at least call somebody to come pick us up, which is good. Otherwise, we'd be stuck here. So, try your best to be both an optimist and a realist. I love you all. I'll see you next time.